She'll never amount to anything. My father's words, hanging thick in the air of his overly decorated living room, still stung years later. Christmas carols blared from the stereo, battling the awkward silence. Lily, clutching her handmade ornament, looked crushed. My stomach dropped. The room itself, a monument to Howard's perceived success, reeked of pine needles and old money. Outside, snow fell softly, blanketing Kansas City in a deceptive tranquility. My hands trembled. Lily's heartfelt gift, a simple construction paper star, was met with a curt nod and a dismissive "how, nice." Inside, I was screaming. Outside, I remained composed. A ping from my hidden business account, another happy client, a quiet thrill. They would all eat their words soon enough. Ever felt that burn? Subscribe now for a sweet, sweet payoff, and maybe a twist you won't see coming. It's about to get interesting. That Christmas, 2015, was not an isolated incident. I remembered my own 10th birthday, the one where Marlene received a pony, and I received a well-meaning but ultimately useless set of encyclopedias. While Marlene paraded around the yard, her laughter echoing across the manicured lawn, I sat inside, tracing the maps of far-off lands, dreaming of escape. I felt invisible. Later, when college acceptance letters arrived, Marlene's from an Ivy League school, mine from a small state university, the disparity was glaring. "Such a shame," Howard had said, barely glancing at my acceptance letter. "You had so much potential." He'd clinked his champagne glass against Marlene's, a celebratory toast that excluded me entirely. The champagne bubbled. My dreams deflated. The final straw, as they say, was the inheritance. When my mother passed, Marlene received the bulk of her jewelry and savings, while I was left with the music box. A beautiful, ornate piece, yes, but ultimately a trinket. It held sentimental value, Howard explained, his voice devoid of any genuine emotion. It was a quiet message: I will never be enough. I vowed then, watching Lily's face fall at her grandfather's coldness, that my daughter would never endure that same quiet pain. That vow became my fuel. I would build an empire they couldn't ignore, a testament to my strength and resilience. My days were a blur of waitressing, wiping down sticky tables, the clatter of dishes a constant soundtrack. Evenings were dedicated to Lily, homework, bedtime stories, whispered dreams of a brighter future. But after Lily drifted off to sleep, my other life began. Fueled by instant coffee and sheer determination, I cultivated my consulting business. The first few months were brutal, countless rejections, sleepless nights, the constant fear of failure. Ramen became a staple, worn shoes remained unworn, and the electricity bill hovered dangerously near disconnection. But slowly, steadily, clients started trickling in. Each successful project, each positive review, was a brick in the wall I was building, a silent promise to Lily. I bought a modest townhouse on the outskirts of the city, a far cry from the sprawling estate Howard and Marlene occupied. My investment portfolio thrived. Lily never wanted for anything. These milestones were private victories, savored alone, a quiet defiance against their condescension. I could almost hear their whispers. "She's probably struggling," Marlene would sneer. "I always knew she wouldn't go far," Howard would say, shaking his head. Years passed. Lily flourished, her artwork displayed proudly on the refrigerator, her laughter echoing through the townhouse. I deliberately kept my success hidden, shielding it from their negativity, a carefully guarded secret. Then came the music box, an olive branch perhaps, or a cruel joke. It didn't matter. They would soon understand the magnitude of their error. A notification pinged, jarring me from my thoughts. Howard Harris has requested to connect on Facebook. My breath caught. A digital breadcrumb after all this time, my fingers hovered. Acceptance felt like surrender, rejection, childish. I clicked ignore. Weeks crawled by. Lily wound the music box daily, its delicate melody filling the townhouse with a haunting nostalgia. Each note was a question, a silent plea. The invitation, when it came, was terse. "Come for Thanksgiving, Lily should see her family." I stared at the text, Howard's name glaring from the screen. It felt like a trap. Marlene's call that evening confirmed my suspicions. "Don't come thinking you're something special," she hissed. "Daddy's just feeling sentimental." My blood boiled. "I wouldn't dream of it," I retorted, the lie tasting like ash in my mouth. I slammed the phone down. This wasn't about Howard's sentimentality. This was about Lily. I would protect her, even if it meant facing my past. Thanksgiving was 3 weeks away. Time to prepare. The first step, ensure Lily had something to wear. A quick online order later, a beautiful dress arrived. Then, a visit to the bank, a discreet transfer to my family visit fund. The day arrived, crisp and cold. As we drove toward Howard's estate, a wave of nausea washed over me. Lily, oblivious, hummed along to the radio, her eyes bright with anticipation. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white. The house loomed larger than I remembered, its manicured lawns stretching out like a green carpet. Howard greeted us at the door, his face etched with age. Marlene stood behind him, her arms crossed, her expression unreadable. Inside, the house was a monument to excess, overflowing with antique furniture and gaudy decorations. The aroma of roasting turkey filled the air, a stark contrast to the tension that hung heavy in the room. Lily, however, was unfazed. She ran to Howard, throwing her arms around his legs. "Happy Thanksgiving, Grandpa," she exclaimed. He smiled, a genuine smile, and ruffled her hair. "Happy Thanksgiving, Lily," he replied, his voice softer than I remembered. The day unfolded in a blur of forced smiles and stilted conversations. Howard seemed genuinely interested in Lily's life, asking about her school, her art, her dreams. Marlene, however, remained aloof, her eyes narrowed, watching me with suspicion. "So, Evelyn," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "Still waitressing?" "I manage a restaurant, actually," I replied calmly, a lie that held more truth than she could ever imagine. Her eyes widened slightly, but she quickly recovered. "How? Interesting," she said, her voice laced with disbelief. Throughout the day, subtle shifts occurred. Howard's gaze lingered on Lily's artwork, displayed prominently on the mantelpiece. Marlene, watching Lily and Howard playing a board game, momentarily softened. The music box sat on a table in the living room, its silent melody a constant reminder of the past. They had no idea what I had become. "Still driving that old clunker?" Marlene's question dripped with familiar disdain. I met her gaze, a small, almost imperceptible smile playing on my lips. "Actually," I began, my voice calm and steady, "I liquidated that asset some time ago." Howard chuckled nervously, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. "Evelyn's always been resourceful," he offered, his attempt at lightness falling flat. The moment had arrived. I pulled my phone from my purse, the weight of it significant. "Resourceful indeed," I echoed, tapping the screen. "Allow me to show you something." I projected a slideshow onto the wall, displaying the sleek website of my consulting firm, Harris Solutions. Marlene scoffed, "Harris Solutions? What's that, some kind of handyman service?" Her words were sharp, cutting. The slideshow shifted to reveal client testimonials, glowing reviews from CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, their faces blurred for privacy. A collective gasp filled the room. One particular testimonial flashed across the screen, highlighting a project that generated $20 million in revenue. Next, images of my townhouse appeared, elegantly furnished and overflowing with Lily's artwork. Then, a screenshot of my business bank account, a figure with several commas displayed prominently. Howard's jaw dropped. Marlene's face flushed crimson, her eyes wide with disbelief. Lily, oblivious to the tension, beamed with pride. But how?" Marlene sputtered, her voice barely a whisper. "Years of hard work, dedication, and a healthy dose of spite," I replied, my voice laced with a quiet satisfaction. "It seems I've built quite the empire, hasn't I?" My gaze locked with my father's, a silent challenge passing between us. It was his turn to eat his words. Howard's expression crumbled, replaced by a mixture of shock and a dawning realization. He understood now. I wasn't the struggling waitress he'd dismissed. I was a force to be reckoned with, a self-made success story he could no longer ignore. He swallowed hard. Marlene looked ready to faint. That's incredible, Evelyn," Howard stammered, his voice filled with a newfound respect. "We had no idea." "No," I said, my voice soft but firm. "You didn't." "Perhaps," Marlene began, a manipulative glint in her eyes, "Daddy could invest, expand this. Harris Solutions." I stifled a laugh. "Investment isn't needed, Marlene. I control my own destiny." "A little late, don't you think?" Howard shifted uncomfortably. "Lily needs a good school, our connections." I cut him off, my voice unwavering. "Lily already attends the finest school, paid for of course." "You laughed then. You're not laughing now." Marlene, grasping, changed tactics. "The old house needs repairs, we were considering." My silence hung heavy, suffocating the room. I smiled. "The house is fine, I assure you. You're not selling it. It's already under new management, but don't worry, I will be keeping it up." I had bought the house years ago to prevent them from making a bad investment. I wanted to keep them around and make them see how well I was doing. I turned to Lily, her innocent eyes wide. Time to go, sweetheart. As we walked toward the door, I paused, turning back to face them. Remember that music box? I asked, my voice a velvet threat. It's a nice trinket, but it doesn't compare to a secure future. You had your chance. I offered a final, chilling one-liner. You played your song, now listen to mine. Howard's face contorted, a vein throbbing in his temple. Marlene's eyes darted around the room, trapped. The truth was far more layered. While you were considering selling the house, struggling with finances, I noticed several outstanding debts. I continued, my voice a calm counterpoint to their rising panic. Specifically, a significant lien against the property, and a large tax bill that was ignored. I explained what a lien was, a legal claim against assets until a debt is satisfied. I explained the tax bill, the bill you ignored for years that is accruing a major penalty that I am now responsible for. I paused for effect, letting the weight of my words sink in. I, of course, being the new owner, took care of them before you could lose everything. Howard's face paled, his hand clutching his chest. Lose everything? He croaked. Indeed, I confirmed, pulling out a legal document. You see, Father, while you were busy dismissing me, you were also accruing quite a bit of debt. Debts I now control. I calmly explained the document. This grants me complete financial control over this property. Marlene gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. You wouldn't I? I countered, my eyes glinting. I already have. Consider it a housewarming gift. I paused. I also had my lawyers look through old accounts. Interesting that Mom left everything to you. But guess who is getting it now that I own the house? I smiled at Lily. This will guarantee you will not need to worry about college. Howard slumped into a chair, defeated. Marlene stood frozen, the realization of their utter dependence on me slowly dawning. The house, the memories, everything you built, is now mine, I stated, each word a hammer blow. I am not forcing you out, you can stay. But on my terms. Years followed, a quiet reaping. Howard and Marlene, humbled, attempted clumsy reconciliations. I remained cordial, selectively engaging, but fiercely guarded. Lily thrived, her art gracing galleries. My business expanded, its success a silent anthem. My townhouse became a sanctuary, filled with laughter and light, a stark contrast to the stifling opulence of Howard's estate. No longer defined by their judgment, my worth resonated from within, a symphony of self-reliance. In the end, freedom wasn't about owning their world but building my own. The music box sat undisturbed, a reminder of a past I had transcended. My empire, built on defiance and love, whispered a powerful truth: I was always enough. Done feeling that underdog triumph? Share your story. It's more than revenge, it's your rise. Spark change and inspire others to turn pain into power. Ready to rewrite your ending?